Next Bank is proud to sponsor Digital Weather Desk with local meteorologist Jared Floyd.
The Digital Weather Desk is your local source for the latest weather information to help keep you and your family safe and to plan your week. You can follow us on our social media platforms, download our app, and you can also find us at digitalweatherdesk.com. The Digital Weather Desk,
Powered by Century Next Bank.
Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome in. It is 9 a.m. on this Saturday, January 24th. This is the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank, and I'm Jared Floyd. Thanks for taking time out of this Saturday as we await and now see an ice storm beginning to unfold across the region. We'll get to some of the high points in just a minute. We've got a lot to cover, and I'm going to try to cover it in as brief a period of time as possible. Next live stream for folks that may be watching this after the fact, that watched it after we've obviously conducted it live. The next live update is scheduled for noon. So again, you can set your alarm or whatever on your phone. I may try to remember to send out a push alert for that one as well, because I do expect to see precipitation a little bit heavier during that stretch. Everything's fine along I-20. There are still some areas that are seeing precipitation, frozen precipitation along I-20, but we're really not seeing it accumulate on roadways yet. It's not that heavy, at least for the time being. Check of the radar made possible by Brown's Roofing, and you can see widespread freezing rain and sleet. We'll get to why we're seeing some sleet, but it's actually a good thing because, again, that sleet in any form, really, more sleet means less ice accumulation potential. So anytime we can really kind of rob the potential for freezing rain and see sleet instead, that's a positive thing. So again, that while sleet is obviously not, it's an unwanted byproduct and could still cause its own problems, again, we could be dealing with worse. So a little bit of good news there, and it appears as though my chat server over here to the right has decided not to work again, so I'll call my Audible and pull up my two main streams on different computers so I can see what you are saying. But there's a look at the radar. Again, at the onset, a lot of what we've seen so far has been freezing rain and sleet. At times, those precipitation types kind of waffle back and forth, which is also pretty common. We'll get to the sounding from the National Weather Service in Shreveport in just a minute. Look at current temperatures. Already into the teens in Camden. These temperatures are just going to keep on falling, folks. 19 in Camden, 22 in El Dorado, 20 in Monticello. The colder you get, obviously, the faster things will freeze. So that also creates its own problems. 26 Ruston, 29 in Monroe. If you are below freezing, there is very little to any hope of getting back above freezing as we continue to see the precipitation fall across the region. Homer at 22.7, Plain Dealing 23.6, Dubach 23.9, Farmerville 24 or 25, Marouge 26, Monroe 27, that's at ULM, Eris 28, Ringgold 28, Lake Providence 28. Pretty much, again, Lake Providence, Jonesboro, Delhi, Alto, Columbia, Winfield, all of these areas are already below freezing according to the Louisiana Mesonet, which is operated by the University of Louisiana Monroe. These are legitimate, very reliable numbers. So if you're below freezing, you're going to see some type of frozen precipitation, whether it's sleet or freezing rain or a combination of both. We showed this in a couple of our Q&As over the week as we were preparing for this event, and we were talked about looking at the forecasts of weather balloons. Basically, we send weather balloons up in the atmosphere to survey the thermal profile above us as we kind of look up in the atmosphere. And we measure those by using weather balloons. But we can also do forecast soundings, which are basically trying to forecast that thermal profile above our heads. This is an actual sounding. This is from the National Weather Service in Shreveport from earlier this morning at 6 a.m. Mind you, a few things as we look at this. One, this was at 6 o'clock in the morning. We've gotten colder since then. Two, you can't assume the thermal profile in our area is the exact same as what we're seeing in Shreveport. Now, thankfully, the University of Louisiana Monroe has their own atmospheric sciences department. I'm a proud alumni of that department, whatever the right terminology is. And they are also sending out their own weather balloons, or at least they're planning to, as long as they can do so safely. And I think they were planning to send one up at 9 a.m., or at least that was the original thought. So I'll check after we get done with this live stream to make sure that that's the case. So as you look at this, the red line is your temperature line. The green line is your dew point. This is the top part of this chart, if you will, is the upper levels of the atmosphere. The bottom part is the surface. So if you were to pretend you're a snowflake, and we're all unique like snowflakes. But anyway, as you watch the moisture fall as a snowflake, this blue line that we see right here is the freezing line. So again, it kind of moves diagonally from the surface up to the top right part of this screen. As this snowflake falls, it eventually melts. It hits a layer at about 700 millibars, which is about 10,000 feet up in the atmosphere, and it stays above freezing all the way down to about 900 millibars, which is a different pressure level in the atmosphere. But meanwhile, as it melts, the air in this layer is up to about 10 degrees Celsius, which is about 50 degrees. So again, imagine going from snowflake to an environment that is now 50 degrees above the surface. As it continues to fall, it then falls sharply back into another cold layer, which is at about 6 degrees below 0 Celsius, which is 22-ish degrees, somewhere in that ballpark. So these water droplets are refreezing in that very, very cold layer above the surface, then falling down as either freezing rain or ice pellets. That 6 degrees below 0 Celsius is kind of the magic number to creating sleet after a water droplet has fallen through a melting layer. That refreezing layer right above at the surface level is about 2,000, 2,500 feet thick. So it's not a very thick cold layer level, but it's just enough to allow for all those water droplets to refreeze. Cool stuff, right? And this is how meticulous this is. Now, the other problem with this is we can't really expect that super cold layer a few thousand feet up to stay there all day, and I wouldn't be surprised to see us start phasing more toward freezing rain as we work deeper into the day. A reminder that winds are quite breezy, so as ice accumulates in trees and on power lines, that will be a concern as we work deeper into the day. A look at the wind chills. They are absolutely horribly gross across the area. Feels like 8 in Monticello. Again, wind chill, apparent temperature feels like, whatever you want to call it, it feels like Siberia. 14 in Camden. Feels like 11 in El Dorado. Check out the power outages. We will continue to keep tabs on these as we go through the day. I've also kept eyes on the airports, and I haven't seen any flight delays or closures or anything like that. But, of course, I'm not flying anywhere, so I haven't really looked that intently. But we have, again, dealt with some sporadic power outages from time to time. I don't think the Franklin Parish outages are probably weather-related. They may be wind-related, but I don't think they're ice-related. And we've had a steady stream of just constant small amounts of outages in southwestern Arkansas in Columbia County through much of the morning. Road conditions. Again, this is a product that I can provide to you. Its accuracy may fluctuate. I know that there's probably some folks in western Ouachita Parish going, our roads are fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Or maybe they're not. Again, I'm relaying as much information as I possibly can. But the general thought process is, again, for conditions to deteriorate from northwest to southeast, road condition-wise, as we go through the day. Check of road temperatures. Again, below freezing, below 32, not a good thing. And a lot of those road temperatures across the northwestern half of our area are already below freezing. So anything that falls has the potential to accumulate. So here's a look at the Futurecast made possible by Bayou Power Sports. We are expecting a heavier burst of precipitation here shortly. I'll go back to the radar after we kind of wrap up this whole spiel, and we'll go back to that next burst of precipitation, which will move through in the next couple of hours, and perhaps bring us our heaviest rounds of totals from this first wave. If you've been following the forecast, we're kind of expecting 2 waves. We're in the middle of wave 1, which started last night and will continue through a good chunk of the day today, at least through early afternoon, maybe well through the afternoon. The occasional rumble of thunder can't be ruled out. We will hit a little bit of a lull late tonight, but by early tomorrow morning, the main upper level system pivots east, and we're going to deal with more stuff. Perhaps the heaviest precipitation is expected then. Possible accumulations, sleet and snow up to 2 inches for the areas in white. Again, a lot of these areas have already started with the sleet accumulations. So we're kind of on pace there. The sleet and ice accumulations in the purple area also I haven't really touched because, to be honest with you, we are running into the sleet. I still generally expect us to phase out of sleet into generally freezing rain. That part of the forecast could change, but just acknowledging the fact that Right now, we're kind of right where we need to be. And then the ice totals farther southward also seem to be very realistic, and they may be, in some areas, a little underdone, especially considering that a lot of these areas are below freezing way ahead of schedule. A lot of the forecasts that I showed you over the week, again, objectively speaking, just looking at them, they're generally on track. The one thing that I would say so far is off is precip type. Clearly, we have more sleet than we were expecting, at least to start. We're in hour 3 of what will probably be 30 hours worth of wintry precipitation. It's going to fluctuate. It's way too early to say that part of the forecast is not correct. We could still easily see a transition over to freezing rain, and the forecast is still on track in that regard. The other thing that I will admit is a little off. If you remember the graphic that I showed you that showed the earliest fathomable times in the southern parishes in the green areas that they could drop below freezing, I said that this evening would be the earliest. A lot of those areas are already below freezing. So they've really overachieved, if you will, in terms of the cold temperatures. A reminder, the ice storm warning that's in place for pretty much the entire area. Winter storm warning still farther northward, where it's a combination of sleet, freezing rain, and snow for those regions. And a look at just the high points of everything that I just told you. Sleet and freezing rain ongoing, likely to get heavier as we go through the late morning, early afternoon. The significant ice accumulations could disrupt travel and infrastructure. Power outages specifically are our main concern. And then my next live update, I'm trying to give you as much advance notice as possible, but trying to also stay as flexible as possible. Again, this is a marathon, not a sprint, so we're all going to need to have our times where we can kind of decompress, because we not only have today, but we have tonight, and then we have a good chunk of the day tomorrow, and then the cold sets in, where that creates its own issues. So that's where we are for the time being, and I'll go back over while I kind of swing through the questions and all that stuff really quickly. I'll go back to the radar because I know a lot of folks are probably just wanting to see that, and if we need to go back to any of the other graphics, we can as well. But again, a reminder that we are already seeing another round of what could be potentially heavy precipitation moving in. Let's go. Like these areas right here, it's tough to see because of the coloring of the precip mask. In fact, I can take that down. I'm not going to right now, but yeah, that's going to be a pretty heavy round of precipitation moving northeast. More than likely, most of these areas are going to see some ice accumulations at that point. A few notes as I'm going to scroll back to the top of the comments. There's a lot. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can, at least in a relatively brief sense. Again, I'm trying to keep these live updates as brief or as succinct as possible. But a few things for folks that are saying the volume is not right. Unless my microphone is not working completely, which I've got audio levels right here, and usually I'll pick up on that. Sometimes I don't. But usually if you're not hearing me, it's probably you're watching from your phone and your phone volume needs to be adjusted. Of course, I say that, and if you can't hear me, you don't know that I'm telling you that. So I don't even really know why I'm doing that. But anyway, and then another thing. A reminder that all of the weather information that we provide here at the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank is 100% free to you. The app, everything, is made 100% free to you by the local businesses that we see there on your screen. It's simply put, the task that we ask is go find one of those businesses or multiple of those businesses on Facebook, send them a message, say, hey, we appreciate what you do. But I will also say that just because this is a service that's provided to the ArkLaMiss region and beyond as a free service, it does not mean that anybody's entitled to it. So, again, if you have bad manners or if you ain't acting right, you'll just get blocked and you just won't have access to this information because we can do whatever we want here. Callie asked, dumb question. It's not a dumb question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Unless you ask what the best Pop-Tart of all time is, and that's a dumb question. But do I need to leave my water running all weekend or just at night? Again, when you're below freezing or significantly below freezing, it's not a bad idea. to again, especially when you're well below freezing. So if you're below freezing, probably not a bad idea to leave those things dropping. Yes, y'all all heard the toddler. I was trying to pretend that she was not there. She's mad because she wanted to watch Elmo instead of Dad. Who doesn't? Man, Elmo is... Out of all the, like, small children things that my child could have to, like, between, you know, Barney or Miss Rachel or all those different places, all those different people and personalities, I'm cool with Elmo. The Sesame Street Gang, I'm cool with them. But I think we got everything squared away in there. Okay, hang on. Jessica asked a question. I bought a ruler. What would be most helpful for you for me to do with that? On the ground directly, a piece of cardboard. How can we help you? All right, so measuring ice. I did send something out last night. I'm pretty sure it got absolutely buried by all the other information. I don't have those graphics handy. Maybe I do. Hang on. Yeah, I do. All right, cool. So there's two different types of icing that we can measure, okay? There's horizontal icing, which is basically flat surfaces. Find you a flat surface, something that isn't obscured by an awning or a covering of some sort. If you have like a flat, like a picnic table or some kind of, any kind of flat surface that you can easily measure. You measure the diameter of the thickest portion. Put your ruler beside the ice so you can take a look at it and measure it. And this is a good indicator of the maximum amount of freezing rain that has fallen. Then there is radial icing. This is the accumulation that's on branches and power lines. Typically significantly less than what you would see in terms of horizontal icing. How you measure this? Well, it measures the entire thickness of the ice around the stick. Don't climb up and measure it on a power line. That should go without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. We don't want you touching your power lines. That's a no-no. But like find a little like twig or something like that where you can see it and you can roll with it and grab your ruler, measure the total ice thickness and then divide it by 2. There you go. That's how you measure ice. And try not to say a lot of really bad language when you're out there in the wind and the cold trying to measure. Stupid weatherman wants me to measure stupid ice. So stinking cold out here. I hate it. Have a sleet and hail mix. All right, so that's a legitimate question because we talked about it yesterday. Sleet is thermally profile induced. Sleet is a winter weather precipitation. Hail is a convectively produced precipitation. It exists because there are thunderstorms in the atmosphere. What happens when we have frozen thunderstorms? I don't know what to tell you there. We're going to have to kind of, you have to look at the size of the ice. If it's a little bitty small pellet, it's sleet. If it's a bigger chunk of ice, it's probably small hail. But boy, that's good. That could get really tricky. And again, the rumbles of thunder are not out of the question as well. Again, for folks that are watching, you can rotate your phone sideways if you're watching us. I again prefer to do these types of videos horizontal. I do video updates vertically just for folks that are watching their cell phone. They just want to get a video real quick, move on their merry way. But most of these lives we do horizontally. For folks that watch us on YouTube and on Facebook, you can obviously turn your phone sideways, and your phone should adjust the screen sideways as well so you can see everything full screen. For YouTubers, I always tell them if you can cast me to your TV, there you go. And it looks great on TV. I don't. The graphics do. I look terrible on any television. But yeah, I was just, like I said, wanted folks. I've had a lot of folks here recently saying, "Hey, I can't hear you." It's probably because you had your phone volume turned down. You need to turn it back up. In 5-year-old terms, which always makes me laugh because I think of Michael Scott. Why don't you explain it to me like I'm 5? In 5-year-old terms, because that's who I'm trying to explain it to. What is the difference between sleet and freezing rain? All right, I'll give you a graphic to help with that, okay? And this graphic may help, it may not. The difference between sleet and freezing. Did I delete this graphic from this lineup? Come on, Jared. Nope, there it is. Just couldn't see it. Difference between sleet and freezing rain. Sleet starts as a snowflake, melts on its way down to the ground, and then refreezes as a little ice pellet. Sleet. Freezing rain starts as a snowflake, melts and becomes rain, and then hits something on the ground that's super cold, and that thing that it falls onto on the surface makes that water freeze. It turns it into ice. The surface, the object turns the water into ice, not the air turning the water into ice. I completely botched that. For a 5-year-old, there's no way a 5-year-old's going to understand that. Maybe, man, I don't understand. No, 5-year-olds are smart. Maybe. Everybody doing the donut thing. Everybody does the donut analogy. Yeah. We said that yesterday. Glazed donut, freezing rain. Sprinkled donut, sleet. Again, just cycling through to make sure I didn't miss anything crazy in terms of questions. We will also be reaching out at times over the next several hours and into the next couple of days for storm reports. If you have measurements that you can send to us, we would love to have those. But obviously, just make sure you're doing it safely. We just went through how to measure ice, temperature readings, all those types of things. Always helpful as well. Quick few notes before we split. 3B Hardware in Sterlington does have generators in stock. They are open today. So if you are, again, if that's an investment your family's looking into making, definitely something to keep in mind. Also, as we go through the upcoming weekend, 3B Outdoor early next week, they also have chainsaws. So, but again, 3B Hardware in Sterlington, open today, generators in stock. As precipitation continues to fall and we start running into more headaches, there's going to be some, concerns in terms of travel. There's going to be power outages and all these types of things. Again, if you have questions or need resources, 211 is a free call, 24/7, 365. It is an anonymous call or a confidential call. So again, you can make those calls at any point if you need assistance, and we will continue to provide weather updates as they're needed over the next couple of days. One final question on YouTube, question about weather ice. What is grapple? And we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but it's basically a snowflake that falls through the atmosphere, and super cooled water behind around it kind of globs onto it. It makes it almost like a little puffy, like a packing peanut type or dipping dot. Because again, that super cooled water globs onto the sides and kind of freezes onto the sides. And you can hear it talked about a lot. We haven't seen grapple here in the ArkLaMiss. There's another graphic I could show you for grapple. I don't have it loaded into the sequence. And we will not see that this go round. But yeah, it's a weird thing. Again, 211 is the number to call if you need assistance. Check on your friends, neighbors. Make sure that the pets have a place to go. I know there are outdoor. Everybody's like, bring your pets inside. I acknowledge there's also some outdoor pets that either can't be brought inside or they refuse to come inside. Make sure that they have somewhere blocked from the wind that they can go to. Make sure that they have a dry place to go to. Make sure that their water that they have access to drink is unfrozen. Those are all types of things. And again, everybody's like, well, just bring your pets inside. Again, that's not always an option. And there are some pets that are your outdoor pets, and they go, I ain't coming in. They're like, no, man, I ain't doing that. So a lot of folks continue to report the sleet and freezing rain combo. Quick questions, or a quick look at the Louisiana mesonet before we split. Again, temperatures are extremely critical during this stretch. If you're below freezing, then you are likely going to begin to accumulate some type of ice accumulation. You're going to begin to accumulate some type of ice as precipitation continues to increase. Homer, about 23. Plain Dealing, about 23. Dubach, 24. Farmerville, 25. Marouge, 26. Monroe, 27. Ringgold, 27. Again, Eris, Lake Providence, Jonesboro, Delhi, Alto, Winfield, Columbia, Coshada, Manny, Natchez, Louisiana, all below freezing. Gina, just above. Sicily Island, just above. Colfax, just above. Jonesville, 34.93. The warmest spot that I can see in our coverage area is in Acme, which is in the far southern reaches of our coverage area in Louisiana, and they're at 40. That is one of the warmest spots. Again, Natchez, same thing, 40 degrees. Those are the warmest areas on the map. Everybody else, 30s, most of us below freezing, and some of us approaching the teens. As I mentioned, the next live update will be at noon. So if you joined this Facebook or this live stream, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, whatever. So if you've joined it late or you're watching it after the fact, our next live update will begin at noon. And the forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app. Donnie does ask, what's happening around Warren with the map turning green? And that's a legitimate question, and I should have said this at the beginning. I've been trying to make an effort to remind folks that as you take a look at these radar images, as we show them and bring them to you through the course of the day, the radar is forecasting, predicting, guessing, whatever you want to call it, the type of precipitation that's falling in any general area. So at times you're going to see some weird coloration changes. I would pay little to no attention to those types of changes. It's still frozen precipitation in southern Arkansas. It's still frozen precipitation along the I-30 corridor in northeast Texas. Again, the radar is essentially just putting a color filter over where it thinks the changeover is occurring. This sometimes can be wildly, wildly inaccurate. So I just want folks to be aware of that. Sarah does ask for an appearance by the Weather Cat. Stanley's around here somewhere. He'll be in at some point. He is the chief forecaster, the quality assurance representative, and also the general manager of the Digital Weather Desk. He keeps us all in line here. Forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the app. Thanks so much for making this part of your day. I'll see you at noon, and we'll continue to keep you updated as we go through the rest of this Saturday and through the rest of this weekend.